Hey guys, so I'm doing this video for our spirituality class, and I have picked the topic of Judaism. I kind of picked this because I've always been fascinated with it, more so the events in our history that kind of incorporated the Judaism religion. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of research and learn more information about it, kind of the history and the origin, major influencers, and also relating it back to the counseling issues. And maybe not so much the issues of counseling, but kind of how to be more aware as a counselor if you're working with someone who identifies as American Jew or any other type of branch of Judaism that there is. And we'll kind of get into that. I'm also going to break this video down into two videos because there's so much information. I think it'd just be good to have one video for a certain part and another video for the other part. But I'm kind of just going to start with the origin and the history of Judaism. So Judaism is a religion that dates back to nearly 4,000 years ago, and it's rooted in the ancient or the eastern area of the world, so Israel. It traces its heritage to the covenant that God made with Abraham and his lineage. God made or would make Abraham and all of them sacred people and give them the Holy Land. The primary figures of the culture include Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the prophets of Moses and Moses himself, who received God's law at Mount Sinai. So growing up, reading the Bible, these names all sound familiar, and you kind of learn their story and their background and their teachings in the Bible, which I thought was really nice to kind of hear those names and read about them and also remember and be familiar with them from other learnings from another religion. All branches of Judaism are based off of 13 principles of Judaism. So there are many branches of Judaism, and we'll kind of get into that later. But when it comes back to it, the basics of them are off of these principles. So the first one is that God exists. And all the research that I found, that it really stressed that God exists is number one. You have to truly and honestly believe that is the absolute most important principle of the faith. The second one is that God is one and unique. So there is no other God. They said false gods. And I know that's a word that's used in other religions too, is false gods. So God is eternal. The next one is prayer is to be directed to God alone and no one else. So prayer is very sacred in Judaism. So when you are in prayer, it is a conversation that you are having one-on-one with God. So it is directed to Him, no one else, like the principle says. The words of the prophets are true. So the teachings and learnings that they give out and their version of the Bible, which is the Torah, is all true. This is what Judaism believes. Moses was the greatest of the prophets of the list that I just said a few minutes ago. And that's not limited to those people. Those are just the major influencers of Judaism. The written Torah was given to Moses by God. There will be no other Torah, so that's the only one. God knows the thoughts and deeds of men. God will reward the good and punish the wicked. The Messiah will come back, and the dead will be resurrected. So going through these and kind of reading these and writing these down, it really made me remember or think back to a lot of these also apply to other religions. Maybe not as strictly, but there is some of that weaving of other religions with these beliefs. Judaism focuses on the relationship between God and mankind, between God and the Jewish people, and between human beings and God. As I said earlier, that there are three main branches of Judaism. There are many other branches of Judaism under that umbrella, but these are the three main ones. So you have the Orthodox Jew, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with and you've heard about through, textbooks, research, TV shows, movies. So the Orthodox Jew, they're the traditional Jews. They stick to a very strict law and principles of the religion. And in my findings, it said that 10% of American Jews identify as Orthodox Jews. The second one is Reform Jews, which they're more liberal. And about 35% of American Jews identify as Reform Jews. And then the third one is conservative, which is kind of the middle ground between the Orthodox and the Reform. And 18% of American Jews identify as conservative, which I found those statistics to be quite interesting because they kept saying American Jews, American Jews, American Jews. And I guess I've just never really thought about them as being American Jews. It's just they're Jews. Just my little 2 cents there. So it was kind of eye-opening to see those statistics because you don't really hear a whole lot about the Jewish communities and areas and don't really think much about it. Like I said earlier, each branch has its own official take on the Jewish faith. There are other branches. So one of the branches it talked about was the Conservadox. So it's a mix between the conservative Jews and the Orthodox Jews, and kind of taking the beliefs and traditions from both of those and combining them and finding that happy medium. Like I said earlier, the sacred text is known as the Torah, which is their version of a Bible. And so that is just kind of the background and information and practices of Judaism. And in the next video, we're going to talk more about the counseling aspect and how to apply it as a counselor working with a Jewish individual. Thanks.